David Theol, I understand you have a blog on this subject.
Larry, this topic really gets people talking on your blog, the Casey Anthony case. And it was on this case that we asked our question of the day today on your blog. Should Casey Anthony's defense team be allowed to conduct a second autopsy with their own forensic experts? Tony chimed in on your blog, and he said no. He went further, Larry. He said, please, let's not let this be turned into more of a circus. Juanita also agrees with Tony. She says no, a second autopsy won't be admissible in court and only desecrates the poor little girl, whoever she is, referring, of course, to the remains that were found last week. Now, we also heard from Elle, Larry, who thinks that a second autopsy could be done if the family condones it, but she says in no way should those results be admissible in court, in a court of law. And we also got a comment tonight that is sure to warm the heart of Mark Garagos. Bill appeared on your blog, and he said the defense team wouldn't be worth much if they didn't try to get a second autopsy or anything else to help defend their client. We will, of course, continue this conversation throughout the evening on your blog, cnn.com/Larry King. Look for the live blog link. Look for our question of the day and join the conversation.
Thanks, David. Mark, do you wonder why so many people appeared so fascinated with this case?
No, not really. It seems in the last couple of years that pretty white women or missing children seem to be kind of fodder for what I call the axis of evil for a criminal defendant, which is cable TV, the tabloid magazines, and the morning shows. So it seems to be a staple, and people have always been, throughout history, United States history, have always been fascinated by crime. And so it seems to make a lot of sense, actually. It drives ratings, and obviously people are fascinated by it. And when you combine something like this, where you get forensics and this inexplicable, seemingly inexplicable behavior by the mother and the grandmother and the grandfather involved, and them making the phone call, it has all the earmarks of something that's fascinating.
Dr. Kopolinsky, do you think we will get all the answers?
That's a very tough question. I think we'll get sufficient answers so that a jury can come to a reasonable conclusion. There may be questions that remain unanswered. I think time will tell, and the defense is entitled to its opportunity to examine evidence and come to their own conclusions.
Stacey, is this a tough prosecution, do you think?
No. I mean, I don't want to sit here and say it's a lock case, but I think there is so much circumstantial evidence. We don't even know what the body's going to say yet, but there's so much circumstantial evidence that I don't think that the prosecution's going to have a difficult time proving first-degree felony murder. It's not premeditation, it's felony murder. But again, we're going to have to wait and see what pans out with the forensic. They indicted her now. Indictment is certainly different than, as we know, going to trial and proving it beyond a reasonable doubt. And some people, you ask the question, will we ever know the answers? You don't have to prove it beyond all doubt. No one's going to know 100% what happened because we're not witnesses to it. We need to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, and I don't think they'll have a problem doing it.
But Ashley, are you not puzzled by, if it's the mother, the motive?
Well, I think that's why this has become such a mystery nationwide. Nobody could possibly understand how anyone could do this to such a sweet, angelic little child that you're seeing on your screen right now. But I'll tell you this, Larry, jurors do not need all the answers. I've seen convictions. You and I both covered the story of Cynthia Summer. She was convicted essentially because she had conduct unbecoming a widow, a little bit like Casey Anthony's unbecoming conduct of a mother who's lost her child. Jurors don't necessarily care about all the missing links. They really care about behavior oftentimes.
Mark, what would you advise, if you could, the defense?
Well, I think the defense is doing what they have to do. And, you know, one of the reasons you saw in your blog that you don't let this go to a majority vote is that the defense wouldn't be able to do anything based on the majority. They've got to get in there, and they've got to do what they've done, which is hire forensics people, conduct a parallel investigation, try to get to talk to their client and understand exactly what was happening with the client, and marshal the evidence as best they can. Obviously, if it comes to a certain point, then they go and talk with the prosecutor. And if they believe at a certain point that they have to try the case, then they prepare the case as if they're going to go to trial. But the fact is that any defense lawyer put in this position has got a heck of an uphill battle, if only for the fact that the public has already presumed this woman to be guilty.
Stacey, I gather you know the prosecutor. Are they efficient?
Larry, I'm down in Fort Lauderdale, and they're in Orlando. I don't know them, but I would assume that the office put their top people on this case, knowing, of course, that it was going to be out in public, and the media, garner so much media attention. That's a hard question to ask. You never ask another lawyer how they think another lawyer is going to be, so I'm going to assume that these lawyers are excellent and top of their game.
We'll assume it. And Dr. Kopolinsky, one other thing. Is there a key piece of forensics you're looking for?
Well, I think the body was the key, and the body may have a lot of information that we haven't heard about yet, but we should hear about that pretty soon.